Hi guys, so I've decided to redo my first video because I really don't like it. It was the first video that I did and I didn't like the way that my talk was so slow and I had to think so I'm redoing it. So this is the video of why I started living in my camper van. So for people that have seen the first video, you will recall that I owned a house in Nanaimo, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. I had been there for almost 10 years and I work in the medical field. I am not a nurse, I'm a cardiology technologist, so I do diagnostic testing for the heart. So I am down in emergency a lot. And when COVID hit, as everybody knows in the world, COVID was scary and there was a lot of unknowns with it and what have you. And so I belong to a ladies group that did a lot of hiking. We used to do backpacking. I've done I've done the West Coast Trail for people that know that. I've done some big, good hikes and I loved it. And I had close friends and I really enjoyed my life. But when COVID hit, unfortunately, because I work in the medical field and I have a lot of friends that were unsure exactly what, a lot of people were, scared to go outside and do anything and what have you. And that was reality. And so I found that I was sitting at home alone by myself a lot. And I was getting depressed and I didn't like it. And I know like my children were on the mainland. I have them scattered throughout the Vancouver area, and I was the one who used to go over and visit them all the time. And even that was getting more difficult because of the ferry and, the way the world was, everything was reduced in half. So they didn't have the staff, they didn't have as many sailings, etc., etc. So things were just getting more difficult and I was getting more depressed. And I knew that I wanted to do something, but I just didn't know what. And I decided to sell my place and purchase a home with family members. And that unfortunately didn't go the way that I had planned. So it was awkward. The poor thing is there was no communication prior. There was no boundaries that were set prior. And I know now that it was my fault. I should have done that, but I've never been one for setting boundaries or discussing things in advance. I've just gone, it's who I am. I just do it as I go, free spirit. And anyhow, so things changed in my life, and found out that I no longer have a home base, which I thought I would have, and needed a place to live. So I moved into my van at the age of 62 and decided to travel across Canada and down into the States. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. It was the best thing that I could have done. And while I was on that trip, I learned a lot about me, and I'm still learning. I'm still, I want to post about it, but I have I sometimes don't know where to start, and because there's been a lot that has happened in my life in the past year. And so I had decided to do Vipassana meditation. Some of you might have heard about it, some not. So it's Buddha teaching. And so when I started this journey, that for me was the first thing that I wanted to do. Is I wanted to go and I wanted to learn about myself, about the meditation, and see what it brought up. Because when you're meditating, there's a lot of things that arise. And there sure was. As I said, some negative changes in my life led me to become, I'm not going to say homeless, because my van is my home. So anyhow, I went to the Vipassana 10 days silent retreat, and I did. I learned a lot about myself. And I kept on going east all the way to Newfoundland. And then I dropped down into Maine, and I made my way to Georgia, Jessup, Georgia. And I stayed at another retreat for 2.5 months, because it was really important for me to learn about me. I'm 62. I have never done any inner work in my entire life. I wish that I would have done it when I was in my 20s, but life didn't take me on that journey, and it's taken me on the journey now. So I've learned that I'm disorganized. I thought I was an anxious attachment personality. I'm finding out that it's worse than that. I'm a disorganized attachment style. And so when I found that out, it was kind of a shock, but not really. I knew that I self-sabotage my life a lot, relationships, friendships. So my children are all grown up. I have 3 grandkids, and I would love to have a happy relationship with them. And I know that I still have to do work on me in order for that to happen. So I've been watching a lot of podcasts, reading books, and meditating. So I love the Nomad Lifestyle. That is when I'm the happiest, when I'm behind the wheel and I am driving. Sometimes I don't know where I'm going, but that's okay. I love the freedom. And I wish that I was still on the road, but being Canadian, we are only allowed to leave Canada for 6 months. So I came back in February, and it is now May. And since I've been back, because I knew that I was coming back in February and it was cold, I decided to join Trusted House Sitters and do some house sits. So I am doing that until I'm able to be free again. So I haven't decided where my next journey will be. It will either be, well, I don't know. I was saying Alaska, but I've been Googling and researching, and I think I'd much rather go south because of the warmer weather. But it is a big adjustment for those people that are thinking about moving into, and I'm living in a 1991 Dodge Ram camper van, so it is older. I haven't had too many issues with it. I have had some. I've had the fuel pump that needed changing, and I had, I can't even remember, the throttle body had to be rebuilt. And luckily, the Throttle Body happened when I was in Georgia, and to be quite honest, the prices there were reasonable. I was very, very happy. And the mechanics in the States were great. So it was a big adjustment moving into my camper van. It's small. It was only big for one person. And sometimes I'm not going to say I feel claustrophobic, but I do feel that sometimes it's a little too small. I have thought about upgrading to a Class C or a Class A, but every time I start thinking about it and I start doing the research and, you know, the cost of, because with the Class C or a Class A, you can't drive into just any auto body shop and have work done. They have to have the equipment to accommodate the size of your Class C or Class A. As with the camper van, at least with mine, it's a regular size van, so I can go to any auto mechanic and have work done on it, which is a big factor for me because of the cost and even towing. So if I need a tow, and I've had to have it towed once when I lost the fuel pump. That happened in Newfoundland. And yeah, it just a regular tow truck came along and towed it. So, which was good. So every time and also stealth camping. That's another thing. I like to boondock. I find it very expensive going to campsites. When you're thinking about food, fuel, and then, you know, any well, I don't know, is that extracurricular, like going to any type of shows or concerts or even going out to a restaurant every once in a while or anything like that, it all adds up. So for me to go to campsites, not that I don't go to campsites every once in a while, I'll spoil myself, and I do, but I'd much rather do the stealth camping. So for me, the camper van is ideal. It's got over 216,000 kilometers now. I put over 20,000 kilometers on within the year. And it was great. After I had the Throttle Body work done, I noticed a big, tremendous change when it came to hills. Before, I would always have to shift it down into lower gear to try and get up to that hill and say, you know, come on, you can do it. And she always did, but I always worried. But now I don't do that as much anymore. It's a piece of cake. But I do know that eventually I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do. So at this point, I keep on, as I said, because I'd like to upgrade to a Class C or a Class A, but there's so many things that stop me from choosing that. So I think when the time comes, I may look at getting a new engine put in. We'll see. But I don't know. People have told me these vehicles can go for 400,000 kilometers. So fingers crossed that she will continue. But in the interim, I have been doing house sits and looking after cats and dogs and loving it. The weather here is now starting to warm up, and it should because it's May. Oh, it's crazy. You know, I came back in February and I wish that I could have turned around and gone south again. And now all my friends that I have met on my travels along the way are all out camping, and I'm in Canada and it's still not really, not that it's not warm enough to go camping here. I would, but I've committed myself to trusted house sitters. But anyhow, I just wanted to redo, yes, I had a house, I sold it, I bought another place with someone else, and it didn't work out. And that's why I'm in my camper van. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, this new update, and keep watching. Push the notification button and follow me on my journeys, because even though I am stationary at the moment, I plan on doing some hiking and exploring and what have you. I know that I have not put on too many videos lately. I've had to contend with, you know, Wi-Fi is a big issue. You know, if I don't have good service, then it's really hard trying to upload. That's been one. And then also two, I did go back to work. I worked casual for a bit and I didn't have the time, and I can't videotape when I'm at work. I apologize, but I just can't do that. It would be a breach of confidentiality. So, but now that I'm where I am right at the moment, I am hoping that I will be able to get out and do some exploring and some hiking and what have you. So please be patient, and I will eventually be back on the road and see where my adventure brings me. All right. Well, I'm signing off. Bye for now. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and follow my channel. Thank you.